CTV's W5. Abandoned at birth.
I just felt tossed away.
Lives shrouded in mystery.
Nobody knew.
Children searching for family.
It still seems so unreal.
We were really never supposed to find each other.
Sandie Rinaldo with an amazing story of discovery.
Did he know that you existed?
Nobody knew.
The quest for answers.
She knew that I was searching.
And how one woman's search for her roots
I just wanted to know who she was.
brought long-lost loved ones together.
This has healed a whole family without even knowing how broken it really was.
And skilled, brutal, and unbeatable.
He just would go out there and completely nullify and dominate his opponents.
A small town boy finds fame in the octagon.
His fear of losing is very big.
A look into the life of Canada's top MMA fighter.
Whereas in school, I was bullied a lot.
His meteoric rise.
The all-time best in UFC history.
His decision to leave it all behind.
I need to hang up my glove for a little bit.
And his battle back to the top.
The greatest fighter to ever come out of Canada.
Here is Kevin Newman.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. Imagine how powerful this desire is. A BC woman who knows she was abandoned at birth on a doorstep spends most of her life wondering, who is my mother and why did she leave me there? Decades of frustration, false leads, and disappointment, but finally, the missing clue. And as Sandie Rinaldo reports for W5, it isn't only her life that's changed forever.
A chilly October night, 1977, 4 decades ago. A mysterious bundle wrapped in a bedspread and left on the back steps of a local hospital. Abandoned, a baby girl just hours old. That hospital here in Prince Rupert, the city by the sea, on BC's rugged North Pacific coast. That baby, Janet Keel, haunted by the unknown. Who was her biological mother and why did she walk away?
I just wanted to know who she was. You know, I was just dealing with so much in my own head. And I also knew from a very young age that nobody really understood this.
But when you say nobody understood this, what do you mean?
Well, because they weren't abandoned. I can understand circumstances. I can understand that women, you know, can't care for their children and they put their babies up for adoption, but they do it through the proper channels, right?
Janet was adopted when she was just a few months old by Gordon and Geraldine Keel.
I was in the kitchen one day and I was listening to the radio, and it came on the radio that there was a baby girl abandoned in Prince Rupert, and I thought, we could take that baby, we're on the waiting list. And I thought, just jokingly, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think I would get that baby.
And you got that baby.
I did. I was thrilled.
You decided to tell her when she was very young that she was adopted.
Yes.
Not just adopted, abandoned.
I thought it was very important that she knew at a young age so that she could understand. And we didn't want to hurt her. And if we told her a lie, then that'll come back to haunt us.
Janet had a happy childhood growing up in Surrey, BC, a good home and a loving family. But as the years went by, she found herself needing more.
I started to grow up and, you know, especially in the teenage years and young adult years, it was hard.
In what way? Why was it hard?
You know, the way you came into the world was, you know, shrouded with absolute mystery, and there's just no answers. And not only that, but, you know, when I was younger, I just felt tossed away. It was, well, why would this happen to me?
Janet decided she couldn't live with that mystery. When she was 18, she set out to solve it.
She would say, I'm going to find my mother. I'm going to find my biological mother.
Janet obtained her adoption file from the provincial government, hoping it would provide some clues. It was mostly blank.
So no mother's name, no father's name on the birth certificate, nothing?
Nothing at all.
So you were facing a dead end at that point.
I was.
But Janet wasn't about to give up. She returned to Prince Rupert where her journey began. She went public with posters and newspaper articles, reaching out to the community looking for answers for anyone who might have known a young woman who gave birth back in 1977.
And honestly, I was very naive. I was very young, and I thought, well, that's it. I'm going to find her.
But her father, Gordon, knew it wasn't going to be that easy.
I thought, well, this is either going to be a long search or she's going to come back negative.
Empty-handed.
Empty-handed, yeah. Right. And so the search just kept going on and on over the years.
On and on, 5, 10, 15 years. Janet grew up, married, had her own family, divorced, and remarried. Still nothing. She couldn't find anyone who knew anything about the woman who had given birth to her. Her search did bring about a remarkable reunion at the very spot where she was abandoned.
Ron, this is Janet.
Mabel and Ron Mazurek had seen an article in the local paper about the baby left at the hospital decades ago, now back in town looking for answers. Mabel called her.
I just said, my husband and I was there that night. That's all I want to tell you. We were there that night. My husband was the first one to see you.
Ron and Mabel Mazurek were at the Prince Rupert Hospital that night back in 1977 because their little girl was sick.
I'm going to go out for a cigarette, so I went to come out. And when I came to the door, I went to push it, and I noticed something, and it started moving, so I went back, and I said, there's something between the doors there, moving in a blanket or in something.
And he comes flying back in, and he's like, there's something outside, there's something outside. There's a blanket moving on the floor.
So they came out, and they said, oh my God, a newborn baby just a few hours older, and poof, they were gone.
Janet got to meet the couple who saved her that night, and the Mazureks got to find out what happened to the baby they always wondered about.
But it bothered me because I thought, God, if I had just a few seconds or minutes earlier, I could have seen who did it, eh? But I mean, at least they put her in a safe place. That was one good thing.
Janet was determined to find the mother who left her there to be found. But after 2 decades of searching, nothing but dead ends. Her parents, Gord and Geraldine, were getting worried.
I thought, this is really hard. This is hard on her. Like, it's disappointing when you search and you can't find anybody and you can't find any leads.
Then, in 2016, Janet decided on one final push. She launched a website, Rupert's Baby, taking advantage of social media. And out of the blue, the breakthrough that changed everything. A message from a young man named Kevin Hugi. Kevin is an avid dirt biker and outdoor guy. Like Janet, he was adopted as a baby out of Prince Rupert. And like Janet, he too was abandoned, but found outside an apartment in May 1979, 19 months after Janet was left on the hospital steps.
When did you find out that you were adopted?
My earliest memory, I couldn't pinpoint it exactly. I just know I've always known. Yeah, all we knew was I was left on a doorstep somewhere. That was basically all we knew.
All those years, Janet Keel was searching for her roots. Kevin Hugi was growing up here in Chilliwack, BC, on the land, a second-generation chicken farmer.
Well, it was just a good, simple life on the farm, basically. I mean, grew up with lots of room to run around and ride bikes and dirt bikes and explore.
Unlike Janet, Kevin never felt the need to find his birth mother. He was content with life. But at one point, Janet's very public search did catch the attention of his adoptive grandmother. A photo of Janet in the local newspaper showed a remarkable resemblance.
Yeah, I guess she had contacted Mom and Dad said, look at the paper, look at the province, there's a picture. It's got to be Kevin's sister. They read the story about Prince Rupert and...
This is Janet.
Janet, yeah, how she was searching, and she looked like me, right? And I looked at it too, I'm like, oh boy, yeah.
She does look like you.
Yeah, I thought at the time, yeah, it might be a sister. And
But did you pursue it? Did you reach out to her? No.
No.
She had all those websites, those emails, everything that was out there.
Yeah. I guess it was a bit intimidating, and also just, I wasn't ready for it.
The article was tucked away in a drawer, almost forgotten about. Then years later, a friend of Kevin's heard Janet on the radio and told him he had to get in touch.
I actually asked my sister Trish, is it okay? Because, I mean, all my life she's been my sister. That's all I've ever known, and been a great sister. So I okayed it with her, and then talked to my wife and my parents, and everyone's like, yeah, do it, do it.
A decades-long search takes its toll
I just want answers.
until strangers reach out.
Ultimately, here we all are.
When W5 continues.
Kevin Hoogie suspected that he and Janet Keel might share more than a similar beginning. Both foundlings, abandoned in Prince Rupert. He's a man of few words, uncomfortable in the spotlight. But with the encouragement of his friends and family, Kevin finally reached out to Janet.
And you said to her when you emailed her, I think I might be your half-brother?
Yeah.
She asked you to do a DNA test?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sent those off and started waiting, and
you know, she must have been just as awestruck by what the potential of what was going to happen as you were, right?
Yeah, because she was, I think, pretty hopeless at the time, because she'd been searching
and had
the
found
last
nothing
20 years and found nothing.
Until you.
No leads, nothing.
Now, thanks to science, they had their answer.
Read the results, and
it was?
It was, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so she was hysterical. Yeah, excited and just every emotion you can think of. And
okay, that was Janet. How about you?
I'm a little slower in my emotions. It took a while to sink in, and so it still seems like it's sinking in. It just still seems so unreal.
Unreal. Kevin and Janet are half-siblings. Two babies given life and then abandoned by the same mother, finally finding each other.
When you met for the first time, describe that for me.
It was, oh my goodness, he looks so much like me, and we take a break and then we go back, and I mean, it was just surreal. I never in a million years thought of this scenario.
But it didn't end there. Incredibly, a month later, another lead, another baby. Kathy Rennie, also abandoned in Prince Rupert in 1976, outside on the porch steps of a stranger's home, 18 months before Janet.
I always knew. Always knew. Yeah, it was something we talked about. I didn't fully understand that scope until I think I was probably around 7 or 8. But I always knew I was adopted. I can't remember not knowing.
Like Janet, over the years, Kathy had tried to find her birth mom, running an ad in the Prince Rupert newspaper, but nothing ever came of it.
I didn't get a whole lot, and I didn't really get anywhere. I just thought, oh, I'll just move on in life.
I mean, how ironic. You're out there saying, does anyone know about me? She's out there saying, does anyone know about me? Mm-hmm. And the two of you didn't connect at that point.
No, and I think timing's everything. Because really, I would have not been ready for this.
And the timing was right. A relative of Kathy's saw Janet's story and gave her Kathy's email address. Janet reached out.
I'm reading this email, and I'm rereading it and rereading it, thinking, this is crazy. And she says, can you reply to my email? And she left her phone number, so I just phoned her. We spoke on the phone for a good 2 or 3 hours that night, and by the end of it, agreed to DNA test.
Again, DNA provided the proof. Janet, Kevin, and Kathy, all born to the same mother, half-siblings that none of them knew existed.
Oh boy,
yeah.
What a moment, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Not one, not two, but 3 of you.
Yeah.
So what happened the first time you met? Face to face?
Like, it really can't say any other word, but it was surreal. We're standing around, looking at each other. You know, I'm thankful that Janet was such a go-getter, because ultimately here we all are.
But still the burning question remained. Who was their mother? And why did she abandon not 1, not 2, but 3 babies. Well, the truth was about to come out. Kathy and Janet registered at an ancestry website looking for more biological family. Using DNA matching, the site connected them to a woman it identified as a first cousin. She had also been adopted, and in her adoption papers lay the clue that finally unraveled Janet's mystery.
You eventually zeroed in on a woman by the
Yes.
name of Patricia.
Yes, I did.
So you cold called your mom's family.
I did.
What was that like?
Very difficult because, again, I'm changing lives. I just want answers. I'm not looking to out her. I'm not looking to even sort of, shame the family. I'm not looking for any of that.
Patricia, a young woman raised in a large but troubled family. W5 agreed not to use her last name. It turned out that after abandoning 3 babies in Prince Rupert, Patricia had eventually moved to the Lower Mainland, married, then later separated. Janet found her ex-husband.
Did he know that you existed, that
he
other
knew none of
siblings
this.
existed?
No, and that was the whole thing. Nobody knew.
And he told you that she had had a child, a son with him,
Yes.
that they raised together.
Mm-hmm.
So a son she didn't abandon.
That's correct. Yes.
It turned out that after walking away from 3 babies, Patricia had gone on to raise a son, a boy named Mike. Once again, DNA tests revealed the truth. Janet, Kevin, Kathy, and Mike shared the same mother. Truth that came too late. Patricia was gone. She had died just 3 months before Janet found her.
She wasn't well, and she knew that I was searching. I know it's related.
How do you know that?
I just know. It's the stress of it. She always wanted this to be concealed. She didn't want it to come out. She went to great lengths to hide this. All I ever wanted to know is who made me and why I was left that night. Now, did I ever think that I'd unearth and solve other people's mysteries? Never, never.
Long hidden secrets.
How could I not see this?
And newfound family.
I knew without an absolute doubt she was my daughter.
When W5 continues.
Janet Keel found the mother she'd spent half her life searching for, but it was too late. Patricia had gone to the grave with her secrets intact. 3 babies abandoned on doorsteps in Prince Rupert all those years ago.
All the babies she abandoned were left where someone could find them.
Absolutely.
And look after them.
I think of that a lot, actually. That's something that has been healing for me. Even though, yes, okay, we can all agree it was very unorthodox, not the right way of doing it. I know that. But we were all left to be found, right? I mean, that just has to mean something. That has to count for something. And for me, it does.
Kevin and Kathy, too, have come to terms with questions that can never be answered.
Janet came to you and said, Kevin, I found her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's gone.
Yeah. When she said that, then I realized, okay, maybe I did need it. Even just to let her know that, look at our lives. We had a great life. You did the right thing.
I'm okay.
I'm okay. Yeah, I guess release her guilt, maybe. I mean, I assume she had some.
I mean, were you disappointed? Would you have liked that moment to sit across from her face to face and ask her, why did she abandon you?
I don't think I would have done that, to be honest. Clearly, she had her reasons, and I made peace with that many years ago. I don't know that she would have known the answers. I don't think it was something, she ran from it her whole life.
So you're not angry, you're not upset at her?
No, I'm not. I'm not. She gave me a really good life.
These children never got to meet the woman who brought them into this world, but they did find Patricia's younger sister, Janice, who was finally able to shed some light on the mystery of this young mother. Back in the 1970s, Patricia was the eldest of 5 children in a family falling apart.
My father lost his job, we lost our home, and during that time, growing up as a child, it's a bit scary. It's tough on a family. It was tough on my sister, it was tough on all of us siblings. The dysfunction that just comes along naturally with that, you know, we went from having something to having nothing.
Was Patty okay? Did she have issues?
Yeah, we all did. We all did.
Looking back, Janice can't believe no one knew about the babies. But back in the late 1970s, she was just a kid.
Her and I actually shared a bedroom together, and I had no idea. I had none. How could I not see this? But she had it down to a science of some sort because nobody knew.
Janice says there was a history of mental illness in the family.
So the stigma around mental illness was pretty strong back then, especially with our family, because it did run in our family, that I think she was absolutely terrified to be put in that category. She hid it, I think, just because she didn't want to be that. There was something going on because it's just not a natural thing to do this over and over and over again.
No one will ever know why Patricia abandoned 3 infants. Janet doesn't live in BC anymore. She and her family moved to Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. But over the years, she has returned many times to Prince Rupert, retracing her roots, reliving her mystery, imagining her mother walking up these steps. In the middle of the night, on her way to leave her newborn baby girl at the hospital door. And that might have been it, the end of the search. But Janet had one final piece of her life's puzzle to solve. She set out to find her biological father.
I continued on because, again, it was that search for truth. It was a search for my identity that I felt owed. But I also felt guilt.
Guilt that?
This isn't just about me, Kathy, or Kevin. It's the people on the end of the phone that I call, right? Because it impacts lives. You know,
This search of yours, this very public search of yours.
Absolutely.
But it didn't stop you.
It didn't stop me, no.
Janet was beginning to realize the enormity of what she was uncovering, but she was driven to keep going. An old friend of Patricia's confirmed that she had once dated a young man named Emil. Janet enlisted the help of a volunteer in Prince Rupert, Rob Ride.
She wanted answers that I thought, gee, you know, I could help. And I wanted to see what I could do. If I found something, I thought, is this important? Is it factual? Well, let's try to compare it with what else I found. And if it was, I sent it to Janet. If no, they clash, it's wrong, then I disregarded it.
Rob Ride, a retired paralegal, spent hours at the public library poring over old microfiche articles, documents, and high school yearbooks.
Janet sent me an email and she said to me, can you do me a favor? I know you got a lot of yearbooks. Can you go through your yearbooks and see if you can find an Emil?
And sure enough, Rob found an Emil.
I wasn't sure if it was him, so what I did was I took a picture of it and I sent it to her. Now, Janet has a source who knew who Janet's mother dated and had a first name but no last name. So that was sent to her, and then it was confirmed it was him.
So sure enough, I took his name and I put it into Canada 411, and he was listed. And I just thought, are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Again, if you can just imagine, you know, I've gone through 21 years of searching where everything was so difficult. And I just take 30 seconds and I find a listed phone number.
And he had no idea whatsoever that you existed.
No idea.
Emil Weinrich will never forget that first phone call from Janet in April of 2017. His wife took the message.
And she said that Janet had called, and she thought that I could possibly be her biological father.
And your thought was, yes, that's true, or no, impossible?
Oh, absolutely impossible.
Impossible.
Absolutely impossible, you know?
Although he didn't believe it at first, when Emil saw photos of Janet, he knew she was his daughter.
I could see the family members like night and day. After 40 years, that was the moment in time where I knew without an absolute doubt she was my daughter.
But the DNA confirmed it.
I read the report and said, "You're my father." And honestly, at that moment, there was no words. It was tears. It was very emotional.
For both of you?
Yes.
But it came up as 99.9996%.
Without a doubt, you are her father. She is your daughter.
Absolutely.
And the first time they met, it was an instant bond.
We were really never supposed to find each other, you know, with all these mysteries, and this day wasn't really supposed to happen. It just felt so special.
Emil had dated Patricia for about 18 months back in the 1970s. It's hard to believe, but he says he never knew about the baby.
Were the two of you in love?
At the time we were, yes. Absolutely.
Had she come to you and said, "I'm pregnant," what would you have said?
I would have said that we would keep the baby. And, you know, you might think, Sandy, that is the point of view that I have with me today. But what you need to understand is my mother raised me so well. Very loving. Very loving. So I know what the answer for that 22-year-old boy would be.
Yes. Stay with me, be with me, let's have this baby together.
Yeah.
Emil raised a stepdaughter, but never had children of his own. He is now part of Janet's extended family.
Better. Yeah, the three of us, yeah. Oh, it's so good. I've had her for 39 years, and you can't take that away from me. And even though her biological dad steps into the picture, I'm still her dad.
Yeah, we're just sharing the love.
She was raised by two people who love her. Has that given you a measure of comfort?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Gordon has said to me that, he said to me, Janet now has two fathers, Emil. And I feel honored to stand beside him. Right. Yes, we have a bond that very few share.
Today, all three of those abandoned babies are getting on with their lives. Janet is raising her family in Charlottetown. Back in BC, Kathy and Kevin's families are getting to know each other. They have a lot in common.
This is Dad's mom, this is my mom's mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was good. We hit it off right away. We're fairly similar. Same family values, same hobbies even, you know, so it was great.
And again, DNA testing done through a genealogical databank produced another family miracle. Kathy, too, has found her biological father, Barry, a man she calls Pops.
Because we were all raised very similar, with strong parents.
Patricia's sister Janice is getting to know nieces and nephews she never knew existed.
Dad and his two, those are the twins.
Yeah.
Connecting a family that was torn apart and now coming together.
You have anything to say to Janet for all her efforts?
I'll forever be grateful for the amount of work that she's put into this. 23 years, and it took 23 plus years to get to this moment. And to be part of that, this has healed a whole family without even knowing how broken it really was.
We all thought that this wasn't going to happen, that we'd never find this. I did, and so I just think I'm losing it right now. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
With Emil coming into my life, and my mom and dad, it feels so natural. It's as though he was here all along. Everyone around me who has seen me go through the last 18 months says, this is your happy ending. This is what you deserve.
So, because of Janet Keel's journey, 4 siblings who never knew each other existed are now able to enjoy their family ties. And Janet also believes that she has evidence that 2, maybe 3 more babies were abandoned by their mother shortly after birth, who later died. Here's what's straight ahead.
The endless training.
How long can you mentally prepare yourself to that level?
Will never be enough.
I'm always going to be afraid.
When W5 continues.